here we are for another evening with the Scouser and the Scot.
Today we have got our good friends, and what can I describe them as? A very quick up-and-coming group. Guys, how you doing? It's George and Simon from ERB. So, how are you doing, guys?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Very well. Thank you very much for bringing us on to your station. That's we're really grateful for that. So thank you.
Oh, pleased to have you on, guys. Let's get straight into it. Let's ask a few questions and then take it from there. So, guys, can you give us a bit of an insight into your love and the involvement of music?
Yeah, well, for me, I'm basically a fan of music. My love for music started when I was a kid, like everyone else, I suppose. My dad was into bands like Yes and Genesis, and also things like Isaac Hayes and that kind of stuff. My mum was into country and western styles like Tammy Wynette and Dolly Parton, all that kind of thing. So I kind of grew up as a child with that kind of music. And then there's 12 years gap between my oldest brother and my sisters are older. So I kind of, when I was growing up, they had all the new romantic stuff. So I had the new romantic stuff. I had punk. I had things like ska, like the Sex Pistols and Madness, all that kind of stuff growing up. And then obviously, as I was a teenager, I had all the Britpop stuff. So I had all the Blur versus Oasis kind of things like that. So I had a bit of Nirvana, all that kind of grunge stuff. But I kind of missed out on all the good stuff, like all the classic rock stuff. So I don't know where I was a bit too late or where I just didn't get into it, but I missed out on all the Whitesnake and Def Leppard and all that. I knew it was there, but it wasn't really my thing. I guess I was listening to, I don't know, Teletubbies or whatever at that time, whatever it was. So I kind of missed out on that kind of chunk of all the good stuff. But then I met my wife, Claire, and she was well into all that. She was into, she went to Monsters of Rock and she went to all the concerts, she went to Motley Crue, all those kind of things. So she just got me caught up on all that kind of stuff I missed, and that was where I kind of, my rock passion kind of grew from there, really. I was like, I can't believe I missed all this music. That's where that kind of comes from there. But as involvement in the industry, I'm not really involved in the industry. This is just, I'm just a fan like everyone else, really. I go to gigs, I listen to music, I buy music, I speak to the bands after the show and, get CDs signed and talk to people. And that's really as far as my involvement in the industry goes, as if you want to put it that way. So this is just kind of all come as more of something that's just happened, really. I don't know, with Simon, I think Simon's in a band, so I guess his musical interest come from that.
Yeah, mine's slightly different. I'm a bit older, so I do remember all of those bands. So mine was all the Whitesnake, Bon Jovi, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, all of that type of stuff was my passion when I was younger. And my story really for music has only actually been really to produce music over the last 12 months, believe it or not. I was a sound engineer when I was younger, which I loved doing. I was on 24-track tape. So yeah, going back to the old days of tape. So, none of this digital rubbish. It was yeah, let's retake that again. And there's reels and reels of tape behind you going on. It's like, oh my God. So yeah, I've always loved music. I've always been involved with music. But then obviously life took over and that had to drop. But I picked up a guitar last year and thought, right, you know what? I'm getting to the stage where if I don't do this, I'm never going out. So I picked up a guitar, started to learn, and next minute, all these songs just started to come out. So I got a bunch of lads together from work and some people that I knew and created a band. And from that, I joined the Emerging New Rock Bands Facebook page, which it was at the time. And started to talk to the guys there. So that's where my involvement is. So really my industry side of it is now producing music. And I've been involved now with ERB for just probably about a year now as a fan of it. And then moving on to the admin side, which came about fairly recently, actually. But yeah, just loving it. Music is my passion. Whatever I do, it's always music involved. So yeah, That's the background, really.
That's good. Well, as you both said, and obviously as you can see behind you there, the ERB. So you're part of the emerging rock bands, or as you said, emerging new rock bands, as I first know it. Can you tell us a bit more about how it came about, the initial one, how it then ended up where it is now, and why it came about, really? What was it? What was the aim behind it, really?
Yeah, so ERB started life as a Facebook group, really. You know, started up by some people that just wanted to have a page where people could share YouTube and Spotify links. So rather than all the chatting that goes on, just literally like sharing new music. So it was quite a strict group where it was just, you know, unless you had a link to YouTube or unless you had a link to Spotify and that wasn't there, then you'd get you know, you post wouldn't get on. So it was just purely posts for music, really. So as you say, it's originally called Emerging New Rock Band. So my first involvement was when I was just asked to design the logo for it, because obviously Claire's my wife, so she was involved with it, and Michelle and all the people behind it. So they asked me to design a logo for it, which I did. And then I think after a while, it started to become apparent that there was lots of bands that were still emerging and they were still trying to gain traction, but they weren't actually new. So some bands have been around for 15 years and still hadn't quite got to the level that they, you know, should be at. So they changed the name just to Emerging Rock Bands, and I just basically redid the logo for that. And it just remains a standard Facebook page for a while. And I just went on there. I wasn't really involved in it too much until one day we just woke up one morning and the page was gone.
Yeah,
I think yeah,
I remember that morning very well, actually. I was a member of it as well. Yeah.
So one of the admin team just decided to just delete the page, and we still don't know why. And there's no animosity there. We just don't understand why it happened, and we've not really spoke to them since. I think some people are in touch with them, but we don't really know why it happened. We was as surprised as everyone else. We all woke up in the morning and had all these messages on our phone saying, "Where's the page? What's happened to the page? I'm kicked out of the page. What's happened? Have I upset someone?" So we all woke up thinking, "What the bloody hell's going on?" Like we had no idea. So we were as shocked as everyone else, really. But I think at one point there were around 3,000 likes or followers on there.
There was, yeah, there definitely was. I remember it.
Yeah, so it was quite big. But I wasn't really in it at the time. But because this happened and because it was out of the blue and no one was consulted, I was kind of like, I'm not having this. I'm going to set the page back up. So I think because they deleted the page, I was able to get the name again. So I basically took it upon myself to just go in, get the name again, put the logo up because I had all the logos because I designed them, and just put the page back together and just started inviting everyone back. And there were lots of people messaging saying, "Oh, I've started another page. I've started another page." So there were all these people scrambling to restart the page. So there was obviously a need for it, a want for it. There was enough people that wanted it. So we thought we'll start it back up again. But I think we lost about 1,000 followers that day or that night, just literally because it was shut down and people started getting kicked out, and we still don't really know why. I guess they were dealing with some issues or something that they didn't want to be involved in it. But it was just a bit of a shock that it just ended, really. So so to cut a long story short, we just basically started the page up again, and we put up I think we put up a picture of a phoenix. To say that we're rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think we put up like a rock zombie thing as well, like rock will never die. Just kind of a few sort of things like we're not dead. We don't know what's gone on, but we're putting it back together. And I think that kind of lit a fire under most of the admin team that we all pulled together when we needed to, because I think it was just kind of drifting along as normal. And I think that kind of was the catalyst to make it better and to sort of take more ownership of it. So that's kind of how that happened, but it confused the hell out of all of us, I think. So yeah.
You were part of that. You were part of it at the time, Simon, though, weren't you?
I was as again from being part of as a really a user and as a band. So we were there to promote obviously our stuff if we could do, but also listen, as George just said, to find new bands, find people to contact, and the actual community on there was stunning, was superb. I don't know if you, John and Ian, were on. I know you were, John, but you know, the actual quality of the content that was on there and what people were talking about, and the engagement was one of the best Facebook pages that we were involved with. So we really missed it as soon as it went. And again, I was one of those who just saw it go, and then got a contact from George and the admin team saying, "Oh, we've set up this. You know, here's your link if you want to go back on." And so I actually didn't know it had changed, to tell you the truth. I thought, okay, just must have had some issues and restarted again, and carried on as normal. So from a user point of view, I saw it slightly different. But yeah, it was one of the best ones that was out there, definitely.
Yeah, I would agree. I took to it because it was simple. You just looked at it and you knew what it was. And I discovered, and there's a few bands that I now work with that I discovered on ERB. The first, when it was emerging new rock bands, even. So when I woke up, I think it was a Saturday morning, and there was all these messages, because people assumed that I had something to do with it, and I had nothing to do with it. But because I invited loads of people to the initial one, I think they thought I had something to do with it. So I think I spent as soon as the new one came back up, which I think was that same afternoon, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
I ended up spending the Saturday and all day Sunday inviting loads of people to just to try.
So you're the one who brought the 2,000 back.
Yeah, but I certainly invited plenty anyway. But yeah, it was cool. I felt it was needed at the time, and it's certainly still needed.
Yeah.
So from like the initial Facebook group, obviously you're evolved, you've grown, you've come back stronger. What between you and the admin guys, like, now, what made you think let's push in different directions? Like, because obviously you're not just a Facebook group anymore.
Yeah.
You're dramatically in a short space of time, which is amazing, by the way. So we're going this way now.
Well, like I said, I think it must have lit a fire in the team. I think knowing how many people like the page and how much, how many people wanted to see it back, kind of lit a fire in us. And I think not long after that, I mean, I just set up the page and then I went away again and just let it do its thing. And then I think Simon must have contacted the team about the possibility of starting the radio station, which obviously was great, but I didn't have much involvement at the time. It was all Michelle, Claire, Evelyn, Bob and Duncan, I think, that must have discussed it with Simon. So I come in a bit later and I only knew about the radio station when I sat there one afternoon and Claire said, "Oh, can you do a graphic for the new radio station for emerging rock bands?" And I mean, "What radio station?" And she said, "Oh, Simon set up a radio station." And I went, "Who the bloody hell Simon?" And she went, "Oh, this guy, he wants to set up a radio station and we think it's a really good idea." And I'm like, "Well, when did this happen?" So it was all happening. I was just getting on with work and doing my thing. And so I thought, that's bloody good. That's really, that's a move forward. Because I think before, like I said about doing emerging rock bands t-shirts, and I did a mock-up and everyone was saying, "Oh, we don't want to do t-shirts, we don't want to be that kind of, we just want to be a Facebook group." So I was like, "Oh, fair enough then, you're missing a trick, but that's your Facebook group." So I wasn't really that fussed about it. And then when Simon come along with the radio, I was like, "Well, if we can do a radio, then we can do a magazine. I can do design." Michelle and Claire do writing and proofreading, and then we've got all the, like Simon does the radio, he does interviews and things like that. So we kind of just had a Zoom really, just to sort of chat about what we wanted for the radio channel. And I just kind of said, "Why don't we do a magazine?" And they were like, "Oh, that'd be good." And I just said, even if we sell like 100 copies, it'll be good. It's like there's a gap in the market. And that's kind of how it come about, really. Just that initial chat, and we just sort of threw some ideas around, and then thought, well, we could do that. We can make it happen. And then we just started, getting prices and seeing how much it would cost and what the price point would be, and then planning it all out. just kind of preparing it really. And it's just kind of gone from there. It's kind of taken us all by surprise, like when the site went down originally. I think we underestimate what the need is for it, or how many people are craving this kind of music, and no one seems to be giving it the attention it deserves, really. So I think we just kind of plugged that gap.
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, as soon as you started talking about it, I subscribed to it straight away, because I saw there was a need for it, but I've got a vested interest because I work with a shit ton of bands, and they are the very people that need this kind of exposure. And Ian knows this only too well, because he's in a band called King Voodoo, and they're exactly the same. So what surprised me, though, and I'm not saying this because you sat there in front of me, what surprised me was the quality of what came, and the content, and the actual quality of the writing was superb, I thought. And in fact, I remember reading it and putting it on Facebook that I was surprised. I was worried it was going to be a fandom, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of this band. I'm going
Yeah.
to talk about them like, what's your favourite colour kind of thing, and I'm so into you. And it just wasn't that. And I found it refreshing compared to some of the big ones that we've known for years, who literally do come out with cliched crap. I thought it was, you know, big up you guys for doing it. I thought it was superb.
Yeah, it was a big risk at the time. I think we had a good discussion beforehand, what we wanted to do with the magazine, to actually make sure that it was written by the fans, but not just being a fan of a band and that was it. It was to be a constructive writing. It was to be engaging. We wanted everyone to be involved, and I think George put it right at the time, was that, you know, going back to the point where people had a hard copy in their hand. Everyone's going down onto, you know, doing it as an internet magazine, but to have that physical copy in your hand where you can just have a cup of tea and read the ERB magazine. And for the bands themselves, if they're involved in it, if we have a write-up for them, it's something that they can physically say, look, we are in this magazine. And that really lit the fire with all of us, I think, at the time. And that came from George and his skills, and he did a mock-up for us of what it would look like, and we just, let's do this. It was just like, oh my God, where do we start? That's how it was at the time.
So how many naysayers were there? How many people told you were off your heads for trying to do both the radio and the magazine?
I don't know if you might have saw it, but maybe about 2 months before we decided to do the magazine, I put a thing in the group saying, if we were to produce a magazine, well, not if we, I just said, if someone was to produce a magazine about new bands, would you be interested, and what would you pay? And we got maybe like 30 people responded. It wasn't much. Most of them said they'd pay about £4. And then we had all the people saying, I already get this in power play, and I've already get this in classic rock. And I went and bought all those magazines, and I was going through and going, no. And I've done one of the documents I did when we set up, when I sort of pitched it to the guys. I did like a kind of, this is what it could look like, and this is why we want these articles. And I had all the classic rock, all the power play, all the Metal Hammer, all the other magazines available, and all the front covers. And Kiss was in there about 5 times, and Motorhead were in. All those bands are all, when you look at it, it's quite shocking to think that there's not one new, but I think the newest band on there was probably Alter Bridge, maybe someone like that. So that was just like, we've got to do this. The quality of the bands that are out there, and the hard work and effort they put in, they deserve to have a magazine. They deserve to be on the cover. They deserve to be. I mean, Nick, obviously, Rocket Dolls are on the front cover, and we had Nikki's mum buying copies because she wants to see her son on the front cover. It's like it's a small thing, but I mean, we're all normal people at the end of the day. We're not, you know, they're not rock stars. Well, they are rock stars to us, but you know, they do that at gigs, and then they go and do a day job. They, you know, work on a building site, or they work in a bank, or in a, I don't know, McDonald's or somewhere. We're all normal people, but they still deserve after all that hard work and all that talent, to have a magazine that they can be in and they can be part of. And I think the fans want that. I think fans want to read about the people that they know and the music they listen to.
I think
that's kind of what we're together.
I think
it's quite refreshing, to be perfectly honest. Like, you know, the amount of times that you pick up a magazine, and as you say, there's a lot of good talent, there's a lot of good bands out there, and we get no airplay, we get no coverage. We still have to, like, fight to get people to gigs and stuff like that, and you don't see enough of it. And, like, to see you guys pushing new bands is refreshing on so many different levels. And like I say, I can't thank you enough. I know the guys who are in the magazine and people who are coming onto the new magazine. It's great. But the fans, the people who are into rock music, the ones who go to these festivals as well, who looking for new bands to listen to, this is a door, a gateway for them to actually pick it up and go, I've never heard of them, I'll check them out.
Yeah.
And it gives them an opportunity. So yeah, I'm 100% behind it. I think it's a great move, guys. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It's really good to hear. It's really it's kind of humbling as well, considering we thought we'd sell 100 copies. We thought, there's at least if all our mates buy it, and then we've at least, got some people reading it. But it's just gone mad. I think, like you said, I think we underestimated the need for it. And but like you were saying, it's I forgot what I was going to say now.
Yeah, when we actually first did the order, obviously we did it as a subscription service first because we were doing it on a print run and with no budget. They started off with absolutely nothing, just a bunch of people with a passion and a drive to do it. And obviously, George said it would probably best if we do it as a subscription rather than paying a cost out. So we thought, okay, we will do the socials, get that sorted out. So that's when it was launched about the ERB magazine. And we thought about, as George said, about 100 copies. The subscriptions came in at twice, nearly 3 times, I think, at the end, wasn't it? And we were like, wow, this is really good, because the subscription was for 3 magazines. So that's for the first, second and third edition. And then obviously once we launched and they had gone out, and when we started to see those photographs with everyone holding up their magazines, I honestly, from everyone in the team, we were so stunned and shocked and so pleased with the way that it was the response from it. It was amazing. And then next minute we had a few spares and they sold out within 24 hours, and we were just like, what the hell is going on with this? Oh my god, what we've released the beast. I think we've actually turned around and said, didn't we, on this? It was just crazy. That was I'll never forget that day. That was brilliant.
I think the thing is, from my perspective, that when you look at the other magazines like like you were looking at before, it's a bit like radio stations, it's a bit like magazines, it's a bit like anything. If your sole focus is on making money, then you're going to do it differently. But the thing with that is you're then ignoring a big, and I would say most important part of the music industry. What you guys have done is actually seen a need, and you're doing it for pure reasons, I would say, which is you're actually trying to make a difference. The others are trying to make money. Yeah. So that's why they play fucking Motorhead. And I love all those bands, but you can hear them anywhere. So the simple fact that I could buy a magazine and see one of my bands, Gala Circus, in it, I could see one of my favourite bands, the Rocket Dolls, in it. I could see Bad Actress, which was great, by the way, because you managed to get Evelyn to do an interview. More power to Evelyn. It's all about the Queen. and I thought that was superb. But like I say, it's one thing Ian and I found as we do more of these, the people that get off their asses and start to make a difference are the people who have a passion for what they do because they see a need. And that's what you two guys have done, and everybody else is
a team. Yeah. It has been a complete team effort all the way through on this. Anything that we have coming forward, you should see the chats that we have on Messenger. It goes into streams and streams and streams. everything is discussed first, and it's a team effort, and we're grateful for everyone who's involved, who, like you said, we're all fans and just giving our time for free to make sure that you guys and everyone else who's reading the magazine and listening to the radio station are getting exactly what they want. And that's, we're so grateful for everyone that's involved.
Just going back to what Ian said about getting bands in front of people. One of the things that was surprising to me was when the magazine came out, people saying, I've never heard of Etherfield, I'm going to check them out. To me, because I live in Devon, Etherfield are like, they're not massive, but they're like, everyone knows Etherfield. And I would expect anyone who's in the rock community to know about Etherfield. And I was getting all these people saying, I've never heard of Etherfield, they're really good. And things like that is exactly why we did it. Because although, all the people that go to gigs, the people that, go to all the festivals, and we say, I know this guy from that band, that guy from that band, we all know all these bands. But that's great to us, but there's hundreds of people out there that don't have that. And that was one of the main reasons to get a magazine so that they could look through and go, oh, never heard of them, I'll check them out. Because Spotify's great, but if you don't listen to that kind of music, you might not know about that kind of band. So that was just that was what I was going to say, that just popped back into my head, was that I was just amazed by the amount of people that don't know some of the bands that we put in there.
Yeah. One of the great things you did, George, on the time as well was came up with the idea of the QR codes, because I don't know if you've noticed within the magazine,
they're cool.
There's little QR codes next to each of the actual bands, and that will go direct to that band's music. So it's a way that the magazine can be in the 21st century, if you like, by having this hard copy, but inside there is a link direct to where that music is. So you don't have to go searching everywhere. You can just literally pick it up, scan, away you go. And that was just one of those big moments that George had, and it was just like, yes, that works really well. So yeah, we're really pleased with that. And people have said, I think, George, you've had people coming back to you saying that we bought an album or we bought a single directly from the magazine for those bands.
Yeah, the comments we've had have been amazing. We've had people emailing and messaging and tweeting, and someone said, I've got to wait till payday now to get shopping or something, because I've just spent about 30 quid on albums because of your magazine. And it's just a joy as well. It's just, and like Black Lakes, I'm not saying that we were responsible for it in any way, but Black Lakes were doing a crowdfunding campaign, which we put the link to that in the magazine. And hopefully that helped them. We don't know, we have no idea, but it's things like that, and it's really good for us to be able to do, so we can help bands, promote what they need to promote, whether it's a crowdfunding campaign, whether it's a new single, whether it's a new album, whether it's a tour. If we can link to that and people can directly buy tickets from the magazine to the website, and it's done, and then they can drink their coffee and have a nice day, then that's great. So yeah, it's a good thing to do, really.
Ian's now thinking, how can I get this in?
You know it.
as we
Sam, I'll drop you a message later.
Yeah, as we have the editor of the magazine here, I know my Scouse friend here wants to ask you a specific question about the problems.
Yeah, so basically, obviously you've just set up a magazine, brand new magazine. Can you give us the highs and the lows of doing it, the challenges that you've faced? Because I can imagine it's like everything, not everything runs smoothly, and especially during the time where the current climate that we're in with COVID, it would have put a few blockers in place for you. So what challenges have you experienced, and how have you got around them?
So I think if we were doing it, like you say, if it was commercial, it would have been totally different, because I've been a designer for over 23 years now. So this is my bread and butter. So I do design, it's my job. So I know how to design, I know how to do printing, and I work at a commercial printer. So all that kind of stuff I know about. So that was the kind of easy bit. But because I've done this magazine for no money, I've just spent all these hours of my spare time doing it. But I think if we were to do a commercial magazine, then it would be a different story, because you'd have to pay a designer, you'd have to pay for all these different things. So that was quite a lucky kind of an easy way to start the magazine, really, because we kind of had that sorted out. But yeah, I think just the expense of it, people were saying we were crazy and it wasn't commercially viable, and how are we going to sustain it? But to me, it was just really easy. I just took a leaf out of bands books and just pre-sold it. So we show you what was coming, and if you felt you wanted it, and then you could pre-buy it. So once we'd done that, it was sort of the mental pressure was on to deliver something worth having for that money. So because we knew we'd sold it already, we didn't want to put out rubbish. So we already knew it was going to be it has to be a certain quality. So we went with a glossy cover and a nice paper, and we didn't want to go too thin on the paper. But we had to pull all our resources as a team, really. So we had to, so my design skills and the proofreading from Claire and Michelle, and Michelle does PR as well, so she was able to approach bands, and we did an EPK and put that out to get response from people before we put the magazine together. So that was it was difficult, but it wasn't as difficult as you might think, because I think because we're such a close team and we've all got a different set of skills, bringing them together, it kind of works. So we've got people that are really organized, and we've got people that are really creative, and we've got people that are really hot on spotting mistakes. So things like that. I mean, a few mistakes crept through. I think Lynyrd Skynyrd spelt wrong in the magazine, but we missed that, which is embarrassing. But it's things like that. It just kind of shows it's all, it's sort of made by us, really. It's not a commercial thing. So yeah, that was good. The triumphs really were getting it all together and getting it done. The difficult bits were just making sure not all the articles were spot on, really, making sure that we would be happy reading what we put out there. And a lot of the articles were we specifically did the articles to be different to what's out there at the moment. So we've got things like the Ascended article, which is for the bands that have kind of sort of come out of that emerging scene, and like Crows and King and Stone Broken and things like that. So we wanted all those kind of things. The problems really were the time and proofreading and making sure that we got it all done on time. And obviously we announced when it was going to hit doorsteps as well. So that was when we got close to deadline. We were up 2-3 o'clock in the morning getting that done, and then I had to drive to the mailing house and pretend I was sick at work and things like that because I was late for work.
That's what your employers
I think from George's perspective, he's obviously the team that's involved with it, we were all got assigned. The way it worked was we knew George had laid out the magazine style and what was going on and where we were going to put things. And then as a team, we looked at everyone, and said, right, would you like to do this? Or people could, say what they wanted to do. And that was great. That was really enthusiastic at the beginning. Then came the writing bit. And it's always easy to actually go and interview a band and have a chat with them and everything. When you've got to put that down on paper, and I'll hold my hands up, I am not the best speller in the world or grammar, but I can talk shit for hours, if you know what I mean. So that's where my skill comes in. So it was great doing the interview bit, but then having to get that down on paper was we all struggled, I think, as the group. And it was Claire and Michelle and George who in the background were doing so much work to make sure that the spellings were done, the grammar was correct. And so they, I think we've had a big learning curve as the ones who put the article together in learning how to actually do that. And then Michelle and Claire and George have had the real hard job of editing it and putting it together. But hopefully now we've gone through that and we've got some check sheets for how to do things, and we've got a bit more experience, so we're hoping the next one will be a little bit more quicker, but we're hoping that everyone can see that the quality and the effort that went in. I think you said, George, you did 120 hours, I think you worked out on the magazine.
Yeah,
yeah,
well, that's kind of going back to what I said, like if it was commercial, we probably would make massive loss on it, because 120 hours of, if I was charging the time I charge at the place I work, that would be like 3.5-4 grand worth of work. So that's just all, it's basically my spare time and my weekends and my evenings just sat in front of a computer doing that. And like Claire was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes stuffing envelopes. So we had all the magazines delivered, then we had to put them in envelopes and print all the labels. And Claire decided she was going to handwrite a note for everyone to say thanks for thanks. Yeah, I didn't know she was going to do that. I just wanted to put in a little slip. There you go. Yeah, I just wanted to put in a little slip so people knew, you know, where to do the hashtags and stuff. And then started seeing all these photos with little handwritten letters, and I went, "Did you do that for everyone?" And she went, "Well, most people." And then like she said, about 3 o'clock in the morning, my hand was hurting, so I just started putting them in. So some people have got letters, some of them depending on how tired she was. So yeah, so that wasn't the great part of it, but it was worth it. The triumphs are just what's come off of it. So yeah. the amazing amount of support really that people have shown, and we've just been blown away by how many people have loved it. And we've got Crazy Cowboy did a video. Oh, that was funny. That was amazing, wasn't it? And it's just, yeah, it's just hearing what people think of it, and hearing that it went down well just makes us feel a bit warm and fuzzy really. And we still can't quite believe it. And we're getting, I think Claire's got 500 emails to deal with. I've got emails for people that want to advertise in the next magazine, and people are you know, saying, can we get our band in a magazine? And everyone wants to be in it, and we're just like, hang on a minute, we're still like trying to do issue 2, but yes, we do want you in there, but we need to like plan it a bit first. So we've already got who's going in issue 2, and we're writing and we're interviewing them at the moment and all that kind of stuff, but we've already got probably up to like 4 or 5 already kind of in our heads who's going to be in it and what they're promoting and that kind of thing. So really that's the triumph. But what people are saying about it is exactly what we hope they would say. So it's kind of, what's this, gratifying sounds like the wrong word, but it's like some people were saying, oh, it reminds me of the old like
we lost them.
Yeah, he'll come back. I think one of the things that what you guys are experiencing is a mirror. People are picking up on your passion for what you're doing and reflecting it back at you, because they see in you what's in them. And I think that's what it is. But at some point, it changes when it becomes commercial, and that's what I would like to ask next. Which is, what are the short, medium, and longer term goals for the magazine specific? I mean, we're going to come on to the radio. This is just a magazine, but what are your short, medium term, and long term goals for it that you can see just now?
So short term, so at the moment, so we're thinking up till sort of Christmas into the new year. We're just working on issue 2 to get that in time for Christmas. So that's what we're working on now. We've got lots of website updates to do and lots of tidying up, lots of loose ends that we've not been able to do because it's just gone mad. So we're looking to get the magazine out over Christmas, and then over that Christmas break, we're looking to move. We're basically going to move the website to a new server because we're having some capacity problems with people getting onto the radio and things. So that's all kind of boring jobs we've got to do really. So short term, it's just really to follow the success of the first magazine. So I guess it's like that kind of difficult second album scenario. So we need to make sure it's just as good as the last one. So maintain that level of I don't know what the word is. Professionalism. Yeah.
Quality.
The medium term. So over Christmas, I think we're just going to take stock of everything really and just plan out the next 6 months and try to get a bit more organized and structured, because although this is run by volunteers, it's all our spare time, so it's quickly turned into a full-time job, which I think we're all happy to do. But I think looking at things like the website hosting and just struggling with the sheer amount of people that are trying to get on, it's not great. So we want to revisit that. We also want to look at our social media and look at how we can improve that. Now we've sort of doubled our social media, I think, over the course of a few weeks, which is amazing.
You can tell it's from down south. Like,
Get that all up to speed, really, and just how we could. I'm trying to read
You need a different rock band.
Oh, is my thing unstable?
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, you keep on
it keeps disappearing, mate. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's what happens when you live in France. Us Northerners are all right because we're nearer to where obviously the signal is.
It might be Claire trying to do the website now as we speak. She's downstairs probably trying to update the website.
Well, you get our permission to shout out, "Oi, no!"
You might be listening to what's the time now? My show's on now at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday, the Riftastic Rock Show.
What
listening to that.
That was a plug. That I like that.
That was seamless. That was it.
They just flowed. It just go on. George, you've got the mic for a second. Just give us a plug. Come on.
It's all right. It's gone now.
No. We insist. We've got to have a section here. Go on, plug yourself.
Rock Show Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Followed by who's on? We've got our first Canadian presenter, Bruce from the Deadly Romantics. He's doing a show for us tonight. That's really good. And then next week we're back to Craig Bailey with Over the Hump. So that's really good. So yeah, we've got all the shows going on. Yeah, back to the magazine.
Right. So obviously I'm really interested in this next question, which I'm going to throw out there. There's many other bands will be. For any bands, musicians, anyone who would like to get into a future episode as a magazine, future copy, what is the process? What you'd like us to follow? How would you like us to contact you? What's the best ways?
And what are you looking for?
So we're looking for basically music has to be good. There's a lot of bands that are wanting to be in the magazine, and then when we check them out, we are emerging rock bands, but they're very small. Like they might do the odd pub gig kind of bands, which is great, but they're not ready for our small magazine just yet. So it's more good bands that are accomplished. They've got EPs out, they've got singles out. We'd ideally like a lot more bands that people know, but we also want to mix it up with a lot of the bands that people won't know. Because, like I said before, there's lots of bands that we know that other people don't know about. So we want to mix it up. So we want to get a mix of smaller bands, a bit bigger bands, and then with the Ascended feature, we're going to have the bands that have kind of emerged to give their experience really to the ones coming up. So to get in touch, really, all you need to do is email. It depends what you want. If you want to be reviewed, if you want an album reviewed or an EP reviewed, we've got reviews@emergingrockbands.co.uk. So that's where all the PR stuff comes from, all the requests to be in the magazine, that all goes to reviews at. So there's loads of emails coming in there, which we're trying to filter through. If it's to do with getting an article published in the magazine or doing a feature, that kind of thing, we've got magazine@emergingrockbands.co.uk. So that's not for all the press releases. I've had to tell a lot of PR people to take me off the list because it's just getting full of PR. And I don't want to miss those people that want to actually work with us on articles and things like that. So yeah, just to email that way really. But we've got lots of people getting in touch on Facebook Messenger and Instagram and Twitter, which is great. But because there's so many comments coming through, it's hard to keep track of them, and we lose track. There's been lots of really good bands that I've seen. I've gone, oh yeah, we get them in, and then they kind of get lost in the flurry of messages we get. So really the best way is to email us. So reviews@emergingrockbands.co.uk or magazine@emergingrockbands.co.uk. And that way we can look at them, we can flag them, we can deal with them easier that way. Yeah, that's the best way really.
All right, that's cool. Now, if anybody's watching this and you light a fire under them and they're saying, I want to get involved in the magazine, I want to get involved in the radio station, is there any specific skill sets they need Is there any experience they need? Do you have a process in place where you can take people, or you're hoping to take people and train them on it? Have you actually any, you know, bear in mind how you're going like that and taking off, is there any skill sets that you need now that you could tell us about?
Do you want to answer from the magazine, George, and then I'll take the radio bit if you want?
Yeah, well, magazine-wise, we've got a lot of people that we know already that can write. So we've got, like say, people writing articles on this issue aren't necessarily the same people writing articles on the last issue. But we are open to having, I mean, we had a few guest writers. We had Mike Ward, who's with the Rock Cooperative, and he now does a radio show with us because he was, you know, really interested and passionate. So he's doing that. But yeah, we're open to taking writers on. I think the trouble is at the moment, because we're so busy trying to get ourselves sorted because it's gone mad, basically, it's hard to give them the time really to do. Like we've had a lot of people already saying, oh, I write for this magazine, or I write for this blog, or I've done this at college and I've got a journalism degree, which is all great stuff. But at the moment we need to sort of sit down and as a team go through and go, well, these people are good, these people might be good, let's give them a review to start off with, and do it in a more structured way rather than just go, oh, you can do this, you can do that. Because at the end of the day, we need to put out a quality magazine, and if we're having to chase people for articles or we're having to rewrite articles, it just eats into the time, and we haven't got time to do that at the moment. But I think long term, once we get Christmas out of the way and we try and get ourselves a bit more structured, we'll sit down and have a look at who we want to write for us and what kind of bands and what kind of music they're into and that kind of thing. And I think when we can go back to gigs and stuff, we want to do more gig reviews and more you know, sort of festival reviews and that kind of stuff, and actually be at gigs and write about gigs, which we've not been able to do yet. So there's an opportunity there to have people, you know, if we can't go to gigs, they can go to gigs, they can report back to us. So it's really
He's got
We're all waiting on a knife edge.
to inundate us right now with it. Yeah, it's just we've just got so many emails to deal with at the moment. It's just there's some really good people in that. I apologize to them now. I haven't replied to your email, but we are interested. Yeah, it's just gone mad. But yeah, definitely.
PA. That's what you need. You need a PA job.
But yeah, my PA is my wife, and she needs a PA now as well.
That's how it works, mate. That's definitely how it goes. So Simon, what is it about the radio, Simon?
Yeah, the first thing to remember on both sides is you've got to have a passion. You've got to have a passion for music. You've got to have a passion for giving your time away. Because as I say, with everything that we're doing at the moment, there is no income from this. It is literally just from fans or people who want to be involved. So first thing, ask yourself, if you do want to be involved, you know, is that something you can accept? We're hoping maybe in the future, if you know, things work out differently, but certainly at the moment, it is, you know, you've got to realize that you do spend a lot of time doing this, and if you're prepared to give it free, then great. Not that we're a charity, but just the fact that you've got to have a passion for it. On the radio station, we have expanded quite dramatically. Actually, we went with just a few guys on as presenters, and I think we're now up to 15. And that's since the magazine come out. We've had people get in touch. We are happy for anyone to have a go at it, not a problem at all. We just ask for you to provide us 15 minutes of you doing a radio show. So, you know, just put something together and then send it through to Simon at erbradio.online or to presenter at erbradio.online. And what we can actually do is have a listen then. And if we do like what you do, then great, we can get in touch with you and see about putting it on. What we'd like to get to in the midterm is to have it almost like a proper radio station. So not that we're not now, but we have presenters on every day from 7 o'clock onwards in the evening. And some are now doubling up to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock because of the amount of presenters. So I'd like to expand that into the daytime so that we have you know, you can be on at 9 o'clock in the morning and you've got a morning show, you know, drive time, have another show on, and by presenters. You know, we're not always live. There's only me doing live at the moment, but it is a recorded show with them choosing the passion of the music that they want to place on. So yeah, so anybody who wants to get in touch, by all means, we're open to anyone coming in. I think, is that right, George? Yeah, as long as you're prepared to be a team member, team player, that's it.
Yeah, anyone, as long as you can hear the vocals and you play good music. Yeah, you just got to be good, really. We don't. I think what we want to avoid is, I mean, like you say, we've gone like that, kind of overnight, and we weren't expecting that. So now we've kind of set a bar now. We need to maintain that level. So what's worrying us quite a bit is, you know, if the website goes down, we all go, oh my God, the website's gone down, everyone's gonna go mad. But in the grand scheme of things, we're a little fan-made organization that we're just doing what we can when we can. But because now we've got a kind of a level of expectation, it just kind of amplifies all the problems. So we just want to maintain that level of professionalism, really, even though there's no money, there's no commercial aspect of it. We want to still put out what you would get if you did have a commercial aspect, but also at the same time without being a commercially driven thing. I think even if long term, if we were to double the amount of pages and have so much content, we don't want to fill the magazine with adverts. We want to maintain that ratio of, you know, quality content, quality writing, nice big pictures, and not fill it with adverts and not fill it with junk, basically, because that's you get that everywhere else. So I think for me, even if it takes off and we get, you know, God knows, say we get 5,000 people and we're making thousands of pounds from the profits, that's not, I don't think that's going to go into our back pockets. I think we're going to be thinking of what we can do next, what we can use that money for, to do something else, to grow things, whether we can, I don't know. I think we are the kind of people that are not in this for money. We're in this because it's passionate. It's a passion thing for us. It's a sort of labor of love. So I'd like to think that if we do get big, that we maintain that level of decency, really, and just kind of stay normal. I don't want to get to the point where we're having to worry about money or having to worry about hitting targets and all that kind of stuff. I just want to put out a nice magazine that everyone enjoys.
That makes perfect sense. So obviously we were talking about the radio station and stuff like that, guys. So if you got a short-term, long-term plan in place, or what are the goals for you guys for the radio?
The goals on the radio station is obviously we still want all of the bands to send their music through. We do have an easy way for it to happen. You just go to the radio station online, erbradio.online. Under radio, there's submit to ERB. And what that is that's a way to send you or send us your music, but we do ask that you put in your EPK, so bios, your music, and about yourselves and some images, so that we can, if we do accept, then we can put it all onto the website. Because not only do we have you on our radio player, it goes out, we have a drive with all the music on, so all the presenters have the list of the music, so they can choose whatever they want within our own format, if you like. And then on top of that, it goes onto the website as well. So we have a bio so the fans can go onto the website and read about you, rather than just being, here's the music, you know, go and find out yourself. You can actually go and stay within the umbrella and find out about the bands as well. So the short term, as George said, we do have a bit of an issue at the moment with some of the popular shows. People are struggling to get on. And that's because basically we're reaching capacity on the server that we've got, and we've got to the stage where we need a dedicated server now, which is not cheap. It isn't cheap to actually put together, but we're looking at ways that we can. And that way we can actually ensure that it does stay active. We found a workaround. It's not quite the same, but we'll be putting that out. So when we actually do the shows, you might have 2 different links. And if one doesn't work, use the other, and it should get you on. So we want to fix that. That's a short term. Second, medium term is really to grow the presenters. That's what we as I said, we've got Bruce on tonight. He's the first international. So we're now going beyond the UK, if you like. So that's something that we can build, bring other areas of the world involved within ERB. And, you know, just carry on doing that until we get to the stage where, you know, we start growing. But key is keeping that level. That's what the quality of the music has to be good. The bands we will take anyone who's somebody's just done the first single all the way through to people who've got EPs and albums out. But as long as the quality of music is great, we don't care whether you're a small brand or a medium or a large. That makes no difference to us, just as long as the music's good. So.
Well, is there any? Do you work within specific genres? And if so, what are those genres? In other words, you know, is there stuff that you don't play, as in like
no,
genre-wise?
No, we play anything that is in rock based. So we are emerging rock bands, so anything, but that's such a big, wide area. We have people who do alt rock, gothic rock. We have people doing metal. We have others doing all sorts of different things, southern rock, you know, heavy metal, R&B, rock, blues, you name it, it's all in there. So from the band's point of view, as long as it has that beat that you recognize as a rock beat, whatever it is, throw it into us, and we'll always listen. What we don't want is pop, basically. We don't want the Kylie Minogues coming in and saying, you know, oh, let's play our music. But you know, we tend to have a know what is rock, or what you're listening to. So
we have got lots of I keep getting lots of stuff from PR companies that is really got like really sort of black metal, like screaming into the microphone stuff, and that's for me that's no, not for the radio player. But then we've got Gareth who does the metal show, and that's his bag. So we're trying to not discriminate any genres, but have those shows where they can put them in, and it's not gonna, you know, if you're driving the kids to school and you want to listen to that, and you've got so you got someone screaming down a microphone, it's probably not best for the radio player. But if you're tuning into that specific show, then that's great. So yeah, all genres considered.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I know that you're talking there about, like your servers and everything like that, and I know that if you want to develop it, even to keep it running, there's costs involved in radio. How are you funding that? Yeah, is there anything that people can do to help fund it? Have you got plans? Because if you keep growing this the way you're growing it, you know, all right. So the magazine did the, you know, sort of like pre-selling, which is brilliant, and I think you can keep that going. But with the radio station, how are you going to be funding that?
We are looking for key sponsors to come involved. We do have Rockstar PR who are with us, and they're providing a service to us with everything that's going on. And also, as you know, there's a few different ways. You've got to have the server, and you have to have the licenses. So, you know, those things we've got to make sure that those are 100%. But we want a couple of sponsors on there just to actually help run and maintain the website. So, you know, at the moment, we're sort of dipping into the funds from the magazine to make sure that everything stays running on the radio station. But, you know, maybe 4 key sponsors that are interested in rock or interested in music in one way or another. So we don't want Joe Bloggs down the road who's got a building site and wants to sponsor the radio station. It has to be something within the music industry, if you like, that's specific. And then, you know, we would certainly consider any options from anyone who's interested in helping support ERB.
Well, here you go then, Simon. Here's your chance. If we're hoping that there's people going to be watching this, it's from the music industry. They might be guitar manufacturers, drum manufacturers. They might be doing anything. Give us your elevator pitch about why they should get involved with your radio station. Go on.
Right, okay. ERB is about emerging rock bands, and what we are there is to support this grassroots industry. So we are looking for sponsors who are there to actually help and support bands who are actually growing and want to be involved in a radio station. We will do you an advertisement, so it's played on a regular basis. We are worldwide. We're an internet radio station. So if you're interested, get in touch with me at simon@erbradio.online.
Boom. That was cool.
I've done that before.
But as Simon says, with the magazine, the money we're getting from the magazine is funding the print and the postage. Anything else on top of that is basically going into the kitty for the radio, for the licenses, for things. You know, we did a competition to win a merch bundle, so that, you know, that's not free. So we took some money out of that to be able to do that competition. So, but all the kind of extra money is coming from the advertisement in the magazine. So that's a nice little buffer, really, which enables us to pay for the radio for the moment. So, as Simon said, we're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, really. So the money's there, but it's as long as we're covering our costs for the magazine, we don't have that extra to keep the whole machine running, really.
But before this all happens, it's literally we ourselves have been funding it. So
Yeah.
you know, we're so passionate about this that we've been dipping our hands in our own pockets and paying for the service to be up there. You know, that's how passionate we are as the admin team and what's going on behind. So yeah.
So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much to Simon and George for giving us an insight into ERB. Guys, we've got one more thing to say. Give us your links. Give us your links now. So I'll give you the floor. Give us your links. Shout them out, and then I'll put a link in down below. They'll be down there somewhere, guys. So you can just click on them, and we'll make sure it gets to their page. So over to you guys.
So we've got the website is www.emergingrockbands.co.uk or www.erbradio.online. Both go to the same place. Our Facebook is at Emerging Rock Bands. I think our Twitter is at Emerging Rock. Is that right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't do the socials. That's someone else.
Should have brought them on then. Boom.
Should have brought them on. I should have put it in my notes. I haven't read.
The Twitter is at ERB_radio. We have our Instagram account, which is at ERB Radio 1. So we have that available. And obviously, if you want to get in touch for the submissions, we do have presenters at erbradio.online or admin at erbradio.online. Either of those will come through for the radio.
So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much again. Really appreciate it. John, it's over to you, mate.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as we have. And until next time, you know what to do. Hit that cowbell and subscribe.